Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're going to continue the series, the Unported Playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And if you can't tell already, I've been a little bit on a Daytona USA kick. This is the third video in about a month and a half talking about one of my favorite arcade racing franchises of all time. We're not just playing Daytona USA 3 here today, we're playing New Season Edition, which is an upgrade to the original base game, bringing in better graphics, better handling, new car liveries, and just more of a good thing. And honestly, any excuse I get to talk about Daytona USA, you know I'm going to take it. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. When I did my initial review of Daytona USA 3, probably almost 3 years ago to this date, honestly, I was very impressed with it, but there was definitely things that I didn't love as much as Daytona USA or Daytona USA 2, and one of my number one critiques of the game in and of itself was that I didn't actually love the overall handling profiles of the vehicles. It felt a little bit too floaty. Now, outside of accidentally taking the pit lap there and screwing that up, this game definitely has a much better feel on the overall physics and handling system than the original Daytona USA 3 did. It's basically gotten a complete overhaul. Sega uploaded an update to their website that arcade operators could grab and update their Daytona USA 3 cabinets with this. And I will say on the control front, it just feels way closer to what Daytona USA should be. And outside of a few screw-ups there, like getting hit in the corner of my vehicle, I have a much better time playing this game whether on a wheel or a controller. And you'll see here I'm able to take multiple first place finishes because the game just has a better feel to it. You'll also notice I am using Teknoparrot and just decided to go ultra wide on this because you can, and I absolutely love the look of Daytona USA 3 in the ultra wide aspect ratio. It looks incredible on my monitors and I figured I'd have a little fun with it here. And even though none of the levels in this game have any sort of geographic reference to them, this is 100% a recreation of some of the downtown Chicago area in the loop. And I absolutely love seeing Chicago in any game I play, especially racing games. Now additionally, this has seen a lot of graphical upgrades as well. Granted, it is still running on the same hardware, but basically Daytona USA 3 felt like maybe a 90% finished game. New Season Edition basically buttons everything up, putting in new graphical effects. The game runs smoother and overall just looks that much prettier. And you get those classic Sega Blue Skies that they sang about in Daytona, including the original soundtrack. So this really is the best version of Daytona USA to play. And it's one of those things, I've seen a few cabinets out in the wild for Daytona USA 3, but I feel like it hasn't gotten as much distribution as it could. So leave me a comment down below and tell me, have you seen Daytona USA 3 out there, and was it the standard edition or was it New Season Edition? Because it really is a question of how many arcade operators actually upgraded the cabinets to the new version of the game. But you'll see there, I took my first checkered flag, had an awesome race in my opinion, and most importantly, had a metric ton of fun. Because this update just makes the game feel that much more fun and that much more competent when you're controlling it, really leading you just to be able to sit down and have that classic Daytona USA experience. And even though when this game first came out it wasn't reviewed super well, I do think this is a very good entry in the franchise, and really if it continues to succeed, odds are you're going to see a Daytona USA 4 one day in the future, maybe a Sega Racing Classics 4 if they don't feel like getting the license, because this is the continuation of Daytona, proving that Sega can count to the number 3, and hopefully one day they discover that fact for something like Outrun 3. As we move into the next course here, you're going to see this is a mixture of both new courses for the game as well as modern recreations of some of the original Daytona USA tracks. So it really is a best of both worlds situation. And the nice thing is if you have a decent PC, maybe a little bit above a modern potato, you're going to be able to run this game at high frame rates on your system in whatever resolution you want. But there is something about having a bigger viewport when it comes to the races. When you get those racer profiles on the left, I just like it in this aspect ratio, and it really makes me want to see more ultra-wide arcade game releases. And of course it is Daytona USA, just with a 3 after the end, so it has the same incredible music it always has. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds. Yes, it's going to get stuck in your head, and I'll be right back with a lot more Daytona. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I listen to that soundtrack or how many times I let you listen to it. All of the comments are just filled up with Daytonas and Let's Go Aways and Blues Blue Skies. It really is some of the most iconic music in video game history in my opinion. And it's the type of thing, if I think about the Daytona USA soundtrack, I can immediately hum it in my head. My wife will start singing the Daytona USA theme song even though I don't think she's ever played the game. She's just heard it enough in the house and heard me sing it and hum it enough that I've gotten it stuck in her brain, and she doesn't really even play arcade racing games. That's how good the music is, and it's great here as well. Maybe some of the engine noises and some of the impacts on the vehicles are a little bit too loud and kind of drowned out the music in spots, but it happens. And all that damage you see on the vehicle there, it's a completely new damage model that was added to the new season edition versus the original base game. As we move on to the next course, something about the ultra-wide aspect outside of me hitting the wall there stupidly makes the sensation of speed even better in this game. And I am doing a mixture of both third person as well as cockpit view, so you can get a sensation of how the speed changes. But that slight camera warping at the edges and ultra wide really make the scenery fly by and really make it feel like you're going even faster than you are. And that was definitely my fault. I took that corner way too fast and absolutely just cracked it up. But you'll see here as we get into first person view, that light bloom, that Sega blue sky, all the cars ripping around, all of the scenery just flying by at the edges of the screen. The sensation of speed here in Daytona USA 3 New Season Edition beats any other Daytona USA as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying this is the best Daytona game, it is not. What I'm saying is it's the fastest feeling Daytona game, and that 100% really sells an arcade racing game. When you see you're doing 150, 160, up towards 200 miles an hour on the downhills, on the speedometer, you want that sensation of speed in the camera to really feel it. You'll see there I was up at 190 and everything is just whipping by in a blur. You combine that together with the absolute vibrancy and color display that Sega is so well known for, and you just have an absolute gem of an arcade game. And it really makes me just want to see Daytona USA 4, because this game was successful for Sega at arcades, and anytime they make a game and it does make them profit, you know full well they're thinking we should do another version of the game. So hopefully sometime soon we'll get an announcement for Daytona USA 4, and I don't even care if it's an arcade exclusive at this point in time. Yes, I'd love a home console release, but I really just want to play a new Daytona game, and hopefully the next one gives us nothing but brand new tracks, and then maybe a couple remasters as well. But you'll see here, I went in first place, skidded just a little bit, and dropped back to fourth. I was so close to another checkered flag, but that is how much Daytona USA 3 will test you. One small bump against the wall and you go from winning a race to fourth place that quickly. And you'll see here another original Daytona USA track, except completely recreated in the new engine, in high definition, in ultra widescreen. It just 100% works for me. And that's why I've loved Daytona USA. There is not a bad Daytona game ever made. Every time I sit down and play it, I have an absolute blast. The new season edition basically fixed the minor complaints I had with the original game, bringing it up to an even higher standard than it started with. But one more soundtrack sample, because again, I highly insist that this is some of the best arcade music ever made. Leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite arcade soundtrack is. I would be curious. But here comes the music, and I'll be right back with a bit more. I mean, you just can't get any better than that in my opinion. Of course, it is a Daytona USA game, so you're going to have not one oval, but two. It's the simplest track in the entire Daytona USA franchise, but it always hits. Just ripping around this oval, doing nothing but turning left and trying to get a first place finish is some of the best arcade racing game you can ever get, in my opinion. But again, it's one of those things. I've been playing Daytona USA since it first came out in arcades all the way back in the 90s. I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to remember the days before Daytona USA. It is a franchise I've been playing my entire life, and it's definitely a franchise I will continue to play. And again, Teknoparrot does an awesome job running this game, and I absolutely do love it in widescreen, so definitely give a shot on ultra wide if you have the monitor. But again, if you know where there is a cabinet in the US, tell me if you've seen one recently, because I haven't seen one in Chicago in a few years. But I took another checkered flag. I am the champion, nobody can beat me, and I will see you guys next time when I figure out more Daytona USA to talk about. Bye bye.